This is George Dionne of the Rock is George podcast, and this is a KNAC.com exclusive interview with frontman Tobias Sammet of the theatrical hard rock act Avantasia. If I knew absolutely nothing about Avantasia, how would you describe the music to me?
Oh, it's just like a mammoth in an opera. I would say it's if I don't know, depending on if usually people say like what would you describe your music to an alien like, and I don't know, it depends on if the alien has ever heard of Halloween, Iron Maiden, Queen, and Meatloaf and all these kinds of things. There's a bit of it's very 80s based, I would say, and still it's a universe of its own. We're a multiple singer band, not an all-star project, not to be confused with an all-star project. I don't like this term. Yeah, we're doing heavy metal records, epic metal, hard rock, whatever you call it. Classic 80s inspired but modern production, and with multiple singers telling stories, and yeah, it's very visual. You have to hear it. I couldn't describe music. It's like speaking about music is like dancing about architecture. That's what Frank Zappa said, something pretty similar. I don't know exactly how the quote went, but
I like it. On February 28th, Avantasia is going to be releasing their 10th studio album, Here Be Dragons, through Napalm Records. Now, you started Avantasia as a side project back in 2001 with the release of the metal opera. Did you think 24 years later we'd be talking about Avantasia's 10th album?
No, I didn't even think we'd ever talk about Avantasia's third album. It was, it was meant to be a one-off or two-off. I did that one metal opera quotation marks and sliced it into two pieces to charge people twice. And no, it was just meant to be. It was too expensive to be released as a double album, and it would have taken longer to release it if I had to finish both first. So I didn't think it. What I wanted to do is I just wanted to do something outside Edguy, my main band. I just wanted to, I was lying on a tour bus, we were on tour, and I just wanted to write music and write a story and wanted to record an album essentially with Michael Kiske and where he would return to heavy metal and also guest singers in general, work with my heroes, David DeFay and Andre Matos and Kai Hansen and who else was on the record? Rob Rock and Sharon Denard, who was back then, she was not really known. I heard just her voice. She was, I don't know if she even was in, and Within Temptation, I think that Within Temptation were not, I don't know if they even had a record out. She was guesting on another band's record. Anyway, long story short, it was meant to be those two records, and then I wanted to return to Edguy, which I did, and I said never again because it was so much pressure for a musician to go out on my own and have all the responsibility and the weight on my shoulders and getting all the budget from the record company and having all those expectations. I was a little bit with my back against the wall. So yeah, I was happy when it was done. I was mainly happy that I got over it, through it without an accident. And for some reason in 2006 I felt the need again to do something on my own, and I wanted to do it as a solo record. And I just thought, I'm just going to write some stuff and arrange it with H.E.A.T, whom I got in touch with meanwhile, and who was a great guitar player and a great producer, and still is. And we worked on two songs, and I had written two songs, and he did something to that song, The Scarecrow. He rearranged a lot of the stuff, and it sounded to me so epic. I said, that can't be a solo record. That's the rebirth of Avantasia. And then we did the record. By the time we had the record out, we got an offer to headline Wacken Open Air, 80,000 people, biggest heavy metal festival in the world. Okay, you can't turn that down, even though you don't know how you're going to do it on stage with all these singers and organize everything. So we said, okay, yeah, let's do it. It's every schoolboy's dream to headline the biggest metal festival in the world. So we agreed it. It was it was announced. And all of a sudden, it was Japan was asking, South America were asking, promoters from all over the world. I said, okay, then let's do a world tour. Let's make it work. And so I stumbled from accident to accident and coincidence to coincidence and people talking me into things. And now I wouldn't want to miss it. I wouldn't want to miss it for a second. It's the my creative outlet. I'm so happy. And with this new record, you see, everything is possible. It's not even a conceptual record anymore. It's not a rock opera, not a Broadway piece, and it's just an it's just a the band Avantasia's new album with 10 individual songs, and it works. I'm gonna get away with it. I'm gonna prove it to you.
Well, that was actually what I was going to ask you next is I couldn't tell if Here Be Dragons was a concept album. It didn't seem like one to me, but I feel like maybe it's just each song is a chapter of a book and you're there for the ride.
And that's what it is, but it's they're not interconnected. It just feels so cohesive and like a it feels like all those songs are part of something bigger, of a bigger entity. And that's what Avantasia is all about. I think it is about albums. It's about diving into a world of its own. That's what the shows are about. The shows are 2.5, 3 hours long, and you are sucked into a world down the rabbit hole into the Avantasia Wonderland. And I think that's what the whole album sounds like as well. It sounds conceptual and it sounds cohesive, coherent, punchy. It doesn't beat around the bush. All the songs speak the same language, and I don't mean in terms of they're all in English, but it's all one. It's like it's like an anthology of individual. It's like a a picture cycle. You know, it's like they all belong together and make this. It's yeah, like a storybook with individual stories, but it feels cohesive, and that's what I want to do. I'm a I'm an album person, but this time I focused about individual songs. And somewhere in the back of my head, I had the confidence that if we do them with Avantasia, and if I do them with that Avantasia mindset, they will still form this beautiful, bigger entity together, which is the album Here Be Dragons.
Well, let's talk about some of the singles that you've released ahead of the album. Why don't you tell me a little bit about Creepshow? Very catchy song. What kind of inspired the lyrics there?
It's essentially it's a party song, and it's a party song. I didn't want to go for for a blatantly shallow party song. Hey, rock and roll all night, party every day, which I love, by the way. I have to say, I'm one of the biggest Kiss fans, but I wanted to do a sinister, nocturnal version of such a kind of song. It's just like you're going to this place, to this remote place, to this haunted place. You're an outsider. You go somewhere where the sun doesn't shine. It's an eerie place, and all of a sudden you feel quite entertained there, and it's not as sinister as you're being told in advance. It's not like this world of the living dead is a world that makes you feel bad, and it's not evil at all. You just go there, you're an outsider like all these ghosts that you're encountering, and you think, oh, that's a great place to have the time of my life in the realms of shadows, and that's basically what Avantasia is about. And for the first time with Creepshow, I think I allowed that tongue-in-cheek element that is inherent to Edguy and has always been, and that I always had in my writing and in my nature. And for the first time, I allowed that element into, or gave it, um, yeah, allowed it into Avantasia as well. And I think that was very important for me at this time because it's a very, very important character trait of mine. And I was concealing that for a very, very long time because I thought Avantasia has always have it has to be about this poor, lonely creature in the moonlight being isolated, the scarecrow. I'm completely misunderstood. I thought, no, this time I'm going to approach the album a little more cheerful and uplifting and upbeat, and which doesn't mean that all the songs are funny as hell. No, they're to the contrary. I think some songs are really melancholic and dark, like The Witch or Here Be Dragons, enchanting, fantastic. Some are really aggressive, like Unleash the Kraken. I was really pissed off when I wrote that song. But Creepshow has this tongue-in-cheek attitude. The gesture comes through, and I'm happy that I have the confidence to to let this side of mine be present in Avantasia as well.
Another single that you have out is Against the Wind with Kenny Leckremo from H.E.A.T. H.E.A.T, fantastic band.
Yeah.
Did you get Kenny on board for this particular song?
Kenny was on tour with us in 2024 last year, and because I had always been a Heat fan, we took him out on the road for the first tour back in 2009 with Edguy, and then he left the band after 2 or 3 years. And I encountered him. I ran into him on stage when we played a festival in 2022 in Finland. And I said, one day we have to work together in Avantasia. And he said, yeah, sure, no problem. And last year he came out on the road with us. And he was so great that I thought, you have to be on the record. You have to be a member of the Avantasia family, and we have to immortalize you on a record. Oh, that sounds so big and important, but um, we have to really get you on the record. And I had this song Against the Wind, which was not necessarily written for him, which is really funny. On this record, I didn't write most of the songs that I wrote. I didn't write with a specific singer in the back of my head, which makes it probably also sound so punchy, the album. It was all the songs were just written with my voice in the back of my head, and somebody would come in and do a duet with me, I knew. But that's why I wrote song driven and not necessarily singer driven. But I had this song, and the song it's very demanding. It needs very, you need to have a high range as a singer, and it need to be, the vocals are quite extremely high. But at the same time, in the chorus, it has this uh, beat wise, it has a bit of I don't want to say a shuffle feeling, but a very easygoing feel, almost a bit soulful, and a bit, I don't want to say Motown, but a bit like Journey, Steve Perry, that kind of approach. And I thought, Kenny has it all. Kenny is a singer who has the skills that a power metal singer takes, a crazy powerful lungs, and he can really hit those high notes and make them shine. But at the same time, he has that AOR feeling that you need, that Journey Steve Perry feeling, and and that's why I thought, okay, it's got to be Kenny. And turned out it was a great decision, great song, and great performance of him.
Avantasia usually has a big ballad on their albums, Misplaced Among the Angels from the last album you did with Floor Jansen, and What Kind of Love with Amanda Somerville from the Scarecrow, which I personally love. I'd say the big ballad on Here Be Dragons is probably Bring On the Night that you did with Bob Catley, who's worked with Avantasia over the years. From what I understand, this song was written in tribute to Tony Clarkin, who we lost not too long ago.
Yeah, yeah, it was. I don't know if it was really a ballad. I think it's a semi-ballad. It's a power ballad, but it takes up speed a little bit throughout the song. I would say it's a mid-tempo song. It was written in honor of Tony Clarkin. I've always been the biggest Magnum fan in the world. And when I got the news, the sad news of Tony Clarkin's passing, I was devastated because all of a sudden I felt like this band is never going to release new music anymore, and there's never going to be that experience anymore to take home a new bought Magnum record on the day of the release and put it on my record player, and just, inhale the smell of the artwork and the printed sleeve and everything. So I think my subconscious mind kept working and kept processing the thought, and it was some evening in summer. I was watching football, and all of a sudden the piano was telling me, come play me. I mean, it didn't talk to me, but I felt I need to play piano, and usually I don't do that when I'm doing something different. I only get up from watching football to play piano if I have a song idea and want to capture it. I didn't have a song idea. I just went there, played along, and within 5 minutes the key parts of the song were there. Not the lyrics, just the music and the melody. And I recorded it on my phone, finished watching the football game. Soccer, I'm sorry. The proper one.
I knew what you meant.
Oh, that was impudent of mine. No, and I went back to my studio, and after the game, and and finished the song, and I felt it was a tribute to Tony right away. And that was one of the songs that were definitely written with Bob Catley as a singer in the back of my head. And I went that far, I have to admit, that I thought, is it too much Magnum? Is it too much 80s? Is it too obviously a Magnum tribute? I mean, it's Avantasia, but still, it's got my songwriting DNA, which is inspired by Magnum, naturally. I thought maybe I need an orchestra on this one to drag it a little bit away from the Magnum world and to the Avantasia world. But then I thought, no, no, I got into this music thing because I want to please myself and let out my emotions and process whatever I have on my mind, and process my thoughts and my worries and my sorrow and my joy. And that's why I'm a musician. I want to do it just to please me. And that sounds egoistic, and probably it is, but that's why I really got into music. And I said, no, I have a feeling it should be this Magnum tribute. It will be enough Avantasia because all the arrangements and the harmonies, it has my signature handwriting. And so I tried to figure out which keyboards Magnum used in the 80s, and even took it a step further. And I used the same keyboard sounds that they used in albums like On a Storyteller's Night and Vigilante and Wings of Heaven, and played around with those keyboard sounds and said, I know, I'm gonna write, Tony, this one is for you. Thank you for doing it. I mean, lyrically, it's not necessarily a tribute. Lyrically, it deals with it somehow, but I said, like, Tony, this is for you. Here you got, it's your keyboard sounds that you used.
And it's a brilliant song, and I think Magnum fans will certainly love it.
I think I'm a Magnum fan and I love it.
I probably should have said it's not a single. I've heard it in advance, though. It's great.
Yeah,
Uh,
yeah, yeah. Okay, I didn't. Yeah, I didn't even realize that. But there's another great ballad on it. Is "Everybody's Here Until the End," which I think is the that's a real ballad. It doesn't pick up speed. It just stays a ballad the way it's supposed to be back in the '80s. Of the bad English one, just with a little more epic embellishment. I would say a bit like Slade on steroids. Whatever. Or Sabotage. Sabotage. A great tribute to Sabotage also, but they don't need a tribute. They're out on their own again.
I
So,
heard
and I'm happy about that. I love them.
you're going to be going out on the Here Be Dragons tour shortly in March. You're heading out through Europe. What can fans expect with the stage show this year?
The stage show is going to be based on the stage show we had throughout during the summer last year. But of course, we're gonna bring it all for the first time. We're gonna bring it into the arenas. We're gonna have some more stage props. We're gonna bring the fireworks and the smoke and the explosions and everything and the special gimmicks. And we're gonna play long shows. We're gonna be many singers, and we're gonna play long shows. We're gonna yeah, we I would like to say we focus on the new album. That's what we do. But even if we play, we're going to play 7 songs of the new album. But that's just, 40 minutes of time. And as we play, we don't bring a support act. So we're playing 2.5, 3 hours. So we got plenty of time for the back catalog. And so we're going to do metal opera stuff and Scarecrow, a lot of the Scarecrow stuff. We're going to do some of the stuff that we haven't, I think some old stuff we have never done before. It's going to be something for everybody. Fast songs, slow songs, funny songs, and not so many funny songs. Maybe Creep Show. Yeah. So it's it's going to be a wonderful show, and I mean it's every kid's dream when you're a young musician and you want to be out there one day going on tour, and then you dream about, oh, one day I will be on a sleeping bus on a real proper with bunk beds, and I'm going to feel like I'm on tour. To be honest with you, it's not as half as magical as people think it is. Your back hurts when you're on a bunk bed, and I hate going with those submarines from town to town. I don't like that at all. So that's why we prefer to drive in the morning hours. And as Germany is not as big as, or Europe, as the cities are a little closer to each other compared to the States, you may just, travel half a day and then play a show. But what I want to say is that I really have always dreamt about bringing our own show and coming with multiple trucks and a big crew and all the stage props and the lights and the fireworks. and now we can do it. And I'm a blessed man. I'm very, very happy, and I can't wait to bring that out on the road.
You going to make your way to the US this year, or is it going to be more next year?
I don't think it's going to happen this year. Oh, you don't even ask if we're going to make it in general. You just, oh, that's a good way of asking it. It's like approaching a lady. Hey, you want to sleep with me today or tomorrow? I don't want to sleep with you now. In what am I talking? Um, I really hope we can come. I don't think there is a plan to come this year, but I really hope it's going to happen. I really hope it's going to happen. I mean, I have to be honest with you. Last time we've been to the States, I lost a fortune, I have to say. On 5 shows, I could have bought an Italian sports car after only 5 shows in North America. And we got quite good fees, but touring in the US is so expensive, especially if you got a juggernaut like this. And but still, I haven't given up hope because I got so many friends in the US, and it's also a thing about reputation. You just if you consider yourself to be a proper rock band, you have to tour the US. It's just the way you have to headline Madison Square Garden. Otherwise, you're not. You shouldn't call yourself a proper rock band. No, I really hope we're gonna come and do something next year. I really hope so.
With Avantasia blowing up over the last 24 years, is Edguy done?
No, I wouldn't say so. I mean, of course, it's, to be honest with you, it has not done with Avantasia blowing up and getting big. It was even, I mean, Avantasia was bigger from the start, and still I kept going back to Edguy and focusing on Edguy for the most part of my time, I have to say, and wrote all these albums and put all my blood and sweat in there. But you have to understand, throughout the years, when you get together at age 10 and you have this common dream and you have to learn your instruments and you say, oh, one day we're going to be in a band, one day we're going to play a show together, and then you play your show together and you learn next to each other, everything is magical. But you change. It's quite away from age 10 to age 35 when you start to when everybody starts a family and everybody is developing different, and everybody in a band has a different approach, work approach, and work ethic, and everything is so different. Bringing that together, which we managed to do for a very, very long time, and I was responsible for keeping it together because I wrote the songs. And then you have 5 people, including me, and everybody. You have 5 people, but 25 opinions within the band. And I want to do it this way. Oh, we should do it in E flat. I want to be an aeroplane, and it's it's really, to bring it all together. It takes strength, and it can be very exhausting. We got to a point where it was really where all the tires were flat, and of course nobody wanted to acknowledge that truth, but I was the one who had to keep pushing and keep doing it and say, okay, here's a new album, okay, we're going to do this, no, let's play this, no, you play this, no, we do. And at some point it didn't work anymore. So we never split up. We said we're going to go on hiatus. Everybody's doing different stuff. I don't know if we're ever going to do if we're ever going to do another record, but I really, really hope, because those are my friends. Those are my songs. Those are, I want to go out and sing Lavatory Love Machine and King of Fools at one point. Right now, I'm still too hesitant to do it because I know what it was like arguing in a rehearsing room. I'm allergic to rehearsing room exclusively for that reason. When I get and I smell the smell of moistness, see egg cartons glued to the wall, those rehearsing rooms, I get allergic. I get red pimples and spots, and the hair in my neck is, um, so we'll do something, but I don't know when and I don't know what.
Fair enough. Those are all the questions I have for you today, Tobias. The new Avantasia album is Here Be Dragons. It's out on February 28th through Napalm Records. Another great album, in my opinion. I want to thank you for taking the time to tell me more about it.
Thank you. Thank you for spreading the word and for asking great questions. And thank you.